Hello, everyone. My name is Eddie Williams. As many of you probably know, on the third Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m., we do a free real estate training where we bring in a speaker who is an expert in their particular area of real estate. It's always free, always in Southfield here at Shields Pizza at 10 Mile and Telegraph. Our speaker this evening, we are extremely fortunate to have a very experienced flipper. Mr. Lou Haidous has flipped over 250 homes, and he's been flipping since 2010, and he's also experienced in the buy and hold realm of apartment buildings. Without further ado, Mr. Lou Haidous. Thank you, Lou.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it. So really, excited to be here today and to talking to everybody. Today the focus is going to be on not necessarily just flipping, but the mindset and the approach to what's been successful, things that are working, things that haven't been working, all of the mistakes that I made, try to pass along to you all, and then do some Q&A. I also brought my partner, Ali, here, who's really experienced on the wholesaling side, has built a tremendous wholesaling business in under a year. And so I thought it'd be really impactful and valuable for y'all to learn about that side as well, since that's a crucial aspect of our business and our success. So my background is originally not from real estate. Investing passively in real estate in 2010, and it was always just a side hustle. I convinced one of my friends to give me some of his money so we can buy a house in the suburbs of Detroit. And ever since then, I've been addicted. But again, it was always just a side hustle for me. So whatever money I could scrape by from my day job, I would always invest in single family homes. And I really like just buying homes and fixing them up, making them really nice, and then renting them out, and just got addicted to that whole process. And that just led to a bunch of other things that I got into real estate. That was really just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. Since 2010, I've done everything from flip homes, Airbnbs, apartment buildings, commercial. I've done high-end custom homes here in West Bloomfield. Really just runs the gamut. And again, but for me, it was all about getting started with that first deal and then figuring out along the way the mistakes that you made, learning from those, and then getting better and better. That being said, a couple of things that really got me into the game and some keys to success. Number one, I always took a very, very analytical approach to my business, right? And to evaluating what a good deal is and what is not a good deal. So that's like number one. In real estate, a lot of the money that you're going to make is going to be on the buy. And that was my, that was my first lesson, because a couple of the homes that we bought were not great deals, and we lost a ton of money. At least, like for me at the time, it might not be a lot for other people, but those are the best mistakes that we made, because those led to a ton of other really, really good deals. So that's we probably tell you a million horror stories about houses we bought that we thought were great deals, or and then ended up not being the case, right? So I'm sure everybody has those experiences, but again, we just kind of learned from those mistakes and went on with that process. So a couple of like keys to success for me, again, number one was learning from all your mistakes and never really stop learning. I mean, I'm still really reading real estate books from now. I'm trying to learn about how other people do things really well. Every time I meet somebody, I'm asking them like, hey, like, how are you doing, your flips? Like, what are you doing differently? Or even if they're doing it in like the rental game, I'm always trying to learn and network and gain as much information as I can from people. And so that's been really, really important. And then probably the biggest thing is, if you're thinking about getting started, if you've been in the game before and you're jumping back into it, kind of getting that first deal under your belt is really like the hardest thing, because once you do it, then you realize it's just a bunch of really small steps that are not that hard to begin with, right? Everything that you see around you has been built by people no smarter than you. And so once you really put it in your head that, hey, this is just a lot of really small steps that at the end of the line, if you just look at it from a big picture, like if somebody told me 3 years ago I was going to build a home and sell it for $2 million in West Bloomfield, I'd be like, you're crazy. I have no idea how to do that, right? And then we just did the research and figured out, hey, maybe I'll just start with like a piece of land. And then if I get the land, how do I finance it? If I finance it, how much is that going to cost? What are the million calculators online am I going to find that's going to tell me whether or not this is a good deal or not? You can run those numbers all you want, right? And then it's like, okay, who's going to build a house? How much are you going to pay them? So all of these things are little steps that we took along the way. And then in the end, we just kept pushing, and then you'd make mistakes, and then something good would happen. But just getting started is the first step, and having like a clear goal in mind and knowing what that first step is going to be is really, really hard. But once you do it, you're going to realize that that's something that you can do really easily. So one of the things I learned is taking that first step is a lot easier if you have like a mentor, if you have a partner, if you know somebody that's already done it. Like Eddie's a really good example. He's been in the game for a long time. And so use him, use the resources, but try to find out and work with people who've done it before and really learn from them and get that first deal started. I guess from that perspective, like who here is like really experienced and like has flipped, over like 10 homes? Is anybody in the crowd? Who is looking to get started, into flipping? Restart is a really good one. So that's, again, that to me was the hardest part, but once I did it once, I was like, okay, this isn't so bad, right? And then you're just learning from those mistakes. So getting started is like one of those key things that you really want to be focused on. And finding like a mentor, like a partner, is a really easy way for me to doing that. I was always the kind of like annoying person, just asking a million questions, right? Calling a million times. And, if you're genuine and you're hungry, people will see that and they'll want to help you, right? That's my mission here today also, is to help people out, because I've been helped before. I was lucky enough that people were dumb enough to give me some money to get started on my first deal and gave me the time, helped me do the fixes. And so that, I think, is probably the hardest thing. We can get into kind of like the nuts and bolts of like the houses we flip, how we do it, if that's interesting to folks, and what our process is now. But all of that stuff is, honestly, for me, is easy. The hardest thing was just getting started and like what the approach is. I guess with that being said, any questions so far before we get into kind of like the actual nuts and bolts of like flipping? So the question was, do I have a preference on location? Of course I do. I do have a preference on location. I've been, so just to back up a little bit, I moved from San Francisco 2 years ago, and I quit my job in June. So like now I'm like full, all in real estate. Yeah, I was doing it in California. I was doing it here. I had partners that was doing here that I was investing in. I had Airbnbs in California. I started a custom home building in here while I was in California with the partner that I had here. So again, I've been fortunate to have really good mentors, to have people partner with me, and to have really, really good roots wherever. Now that I'm here, my family and I moved. We got pregnant with the second kid. And we're like, all right, let's get back to family. I do have pockets around here that I like. One of the advantages of continuously reinvesting and flipping in specific neighborhoods that is you've already sold a house there. You've already set a comp. You know what it looks like, right? A really good example is, my partner Ali is a really awesome source for a lot of the deals that we get. He knows the zip codes that I like. He knows the blocks that we like. And we have full confidence because we just sold a house there a week ago, right? So if we get a house in this neighborhood at X and we put in however much money to fix and flip the house, we know what we should expect. So that's number one. And the way that you find those, again, is that's actually not even like the hard part. If you guys are from Detroit, like the neighborhoods that are up and coming, neighborhoods that people want to be in. And it really is, sometimes it's block to block. You don't want to cross any major roads. So when you're doing like your comps and you're thinking, hey, if I buy this house, what can I sell it for? My process and my strategy, which I learned from Ali, is in the past 6 months, even, past 3 months, how many houses that are similar sold, what did they sell for? And I really don't cross major roads. I stay within a quarter of a mile, and I see like, what was the condition of those houses that were flipped? Were they okay? Were they really nice? And what did they go for? And that gives me an idea of what type of rehab I need to put in, what like the max I can get out of it. So location is super important. You may care about some areas more than others. Location also dictate the price of the homes that you're going to buy. If I'm going to be flipping homes in Bloomfield and Royal Oak, it's going to be a lot different budget than if I'm flipping homes in Detroit or Taylor. So location is super important. Highland Park, there's pockets of Highland Park that we really like. We flipped a couple of houses in Highland Park, and every time we put a house up for sale in Highland Park, we do get a lot of showings really fast, and so it just really depends on where. But regardless of like where you're going to be, the process is the same. Are there comps? Have their houses been like sold before? How many days on the market did the houses sit before they sold? If you see a bunch of comps, but the houses sat there for 5, 6 months, 4 months, which is not really like the case now, you need to take that into account. Maybe it's okay. Maybe you're okay waiting. I don't like to wait that much to sell a house. I'm not a patient person. I put it on the market. I want it sold like that day. It doesn't always happen, but you really need to take that into account. Some of the other things we look at is percentage above or over listing. Like what are the percent? And these are things you can Google really easily, right? You can Google zip code, like housing stats, right? And it'll tell you average age of people buying it, average age or average amount of like the house sold, how much over or above listing has it, how many days on market. So you can look at these things and see like on a trend by trend basis. But for me, like being from Detroit and knowing like the neighborhoods, I have like a little bit of an advantage again because I've sold in there before, and I know from block to block that these are the areas that I like. Don't go past Tireman or stay within between 7 Mile and like whatever. So those are things that you can use to your advantage the more and more you work a specific zip or area code or block. So if you're going to get into rentals, same thing. It's really cool to have most of your people in like a smaller area. It makes it much easier to manage. That's why I like apartments. I have 10 people in one building. It's easier to manage them. So the question was, how do I come across my houses? I don't want to take too much from Ali. He's going to be the expert in that. But one aspect is wholesalers. So I try to make as many connections with wholesalers. The MLS is literally a list of homes for you, right? To see if like you want to buy. So I look on the MLS, especially when I know the neighborhood I want to be in. I know the type of house, whether it's a colonial, whether it's a bungalow, if it's brick. Once I know kind of what I'm looking for, it's really easy to look at the MLS and say, hey, here's 10 houses, regardless of what they're listing the price for, right? Here's like 10 houses that are in the area that I like. I'm going to send them offers that make sense for me. So I'll do my math. I'll figure it out, and it takes you 2 seconds, right? If I buy the house for X and I put in this much, let's just estimate it. So I'm going to make an offer at this number. It at least starts the conversation. So yeah, the MLS is a really good way. Wholesalers, driving for dollars. People, you go around, you can see, a dilapidated house. It's not in great condition. It might be an investor that hasn't, rented out the house in a while or anything like that. That's another really good way. Coming to things like this where you meet people that may have houses. I mean, I've met with a ton of investors. They're like, hey, I'm looking to offload a portfolio of homes. Are you interested? Yeah, sure, of course, I'll take a look. So that's one key thing. And then especially with, once you start to know like certain areas and certain neighborhoods, real estate agents that you've worked with in the past, make sure you keep good relationships with them, and always ask them, hey, do you have any inventory coming up? Because sometimes they'll have a house, especially in Detroit, where they don't necessarily want to list it because it's in pretty bad condition, but they're looking to try to get rid of it like off market. So anytime you work with a real estate agent or realtor or anybody in real estate, find out. Kevin has like a home cleaning business. I'm sure he comes across tons of homes that would be really good opportunities to invest in or purchase, or knows about neighborhoods. And so even anybody kind of in like the real estate realm will have really good ideas about if they hear about like a house or not. So those are really good ideas. You can always put up signs, like the We Buy Houses, again, I'll let Ali get into that, but a ton of really cool strategies on buying houses. But it really depends on what you're looking for. DSCR loan. DSCR is debt service coverage ratio loan. DSCR loan is a really awesome loan if you're looking to rent out homes, buy and hold, right? Because a DSCR loan is a loan based on how well the house is going to perform. It's the payment, your mortgage payment compared to the rent. That's what debt service coverage ratio means.
Have you done it?
I have done it before. I've done it before. It's great. And the way I've done it, and I don't know if anybody here has heard of the BRRRR method, BRRR, right? You probably see all the people on Instagram talking about it, TikTok, whatever. It's pretty effective for scaling, especially in Detroit. You can find really good BRRR deals, right? And so what you want to do is you purchase a house, buy the house, right? You rehab it, and then once you rehab it, then you rent it out. And then once you rent it out, then you refinance, right? And the DSCR loan is basically just a mortgage loan that is only based on not so much like your credit history or your job or your income. It's just the bank, or banks aren't doing this, right? It's like hard money lenders. Some banks might do it, but for the most part, it's like hard money or soft money lenders. They're just saying, hey, we're going to give you this mortgage because we know that the rent is covering the mortgage payment by a significant amount, so we feel safe with that. So once you get your mortgage and you refinance, you get your cash back basically, right? And then now you get that cash and you can reinvest in another home, right? You find another home that's, let's say you buy it for 50, you put in 20K of work, right? So you're all in at 70, but it appraises at 130. If you go to refinance that home, you get 80% of that 130, all that cash back. So you're getting more cash than you put into it. So you can just keep buying and holding homes for a really big scale if you do that. So that's the one good thing about DSCR loan. If you don't have great credit, if your income is whatever, but you find a really good deal that has good rent compared to what the mortgage would be, DSCR loans are a great opportunity for that. Do you still have to put down 20%? No, sometimes you don't have to put down. Sometimes they'll say as low as 10%. So it's really up to you. The best way to not have to put down 20% is sometimes finding a partner or a private investor, right?
Found one.
You did find one. You did find one. I'm investing in deals all the time, right? And I know other investors that are looking to invest also. So if you find a deal, you find a house, and you put together the math on like, hey, this is what it would cost me to buy the house, to fix and rehab the house, and this is what it could rent out for. Here's what the mortgage would be. And these calculators are online. You guys can email me after. I can send you all the links. It's not hard. People have done the work and the math for you, so you don't need to do that. But you find a house, you plug it in. If the numbers make sense, then there will be somebody who's willing to give you the money to have you do the work, and they get their income, right? You get started with one. You make money off of that. It might not be as much because you're splitting the pie, but you stack up enough of those, then you can start doing it on your own. And again, if you partner with an experienced investor, then they'll be able to answer your questions, help you along the way, recommend any trades for you if you get stuck, or if you're not sure exactly how to do the flip, what materials or whatever. Having somebody on your side is a really good idea, especially for getting into your first home.
All righty. Lou, all right, we get a double feature tonight. Lou graced us with his business partner who's going to tell us how he built a successful wholesaling business in 1 year. All right, everybody give it up, please, for Mr. Ali Shakur.
Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Ali, and I just want to talk about my story here. Lou actually brought me out today. I was calling him about a deal, and he goes, hold on, I was about to call you. I wanted you to share your story with everyone. So basically, I'm 18 years old, and I currently, right when I got out of high school, I started wholesaling last year around October. I was coming to a lot of videos, coming across a bunch of videos about it, and I was like, I feel like I could do this. I literally just pulled out YouTube, how to wholesale, and I started watching videos endlessly, like 12 hours a day, every day, just working. Made my first call around like November. I was so scared, like I didn't even know what I was talking about. And then a lot of times, it was a lot of just hard work I was putting in, endless hours, and then I came across a brokerage, Own It Realty. And I told Hassan, the broker, I was like, I'll do anything just to shadow you. I want to learn the game. I really want to know what's going on, how you're doing this. And then he ended up, I just shadowed him throughout months and months, and then throughout a period of time, I ended up just closing my first deal for $1,000 in like River Rouge. Hassan told me I have an investor in River Rouge, he's ready to go. Find me a deal there. I just called the phone, I just skip traced a bunch of addresses, made my first deal, and then after that, after the first one, I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then I learned how to find deals, you know, how to know if a deal is good or not, and then built a bunch of relationships with investors. I ended up closing a bunch of deals throughout January to June. In June, I ended up buying my first flip, and that one got listed on the market, sold, and then I took that flip, the profit from that flip, and I bought 2 other homes. And then that's kind of really where I'm at. And then, like, I know a lot of people now my age reach out to me all the time, like, hey, you know, can you teach me? Hey, I'll pay X amount of money just to learn from you.
You keep doing what you're doing.
I had a lot of investors reach out to me, hey, like, you're really good at finding deals. You know, I'll put up the money, find us a good deal. Now, really, I'm trying to transition into the flipping business and get out of the wholesaling business and have somebody run my business for me on the wholesaling end and just turn it into mainly flipping. So right now what I'm doing is I'm currently running Facebook ads to generate leads. That way I don't have to work for these leads because I built the capital, I invested it there, and I have a marketer just managing the whole wholesaling business. We definitely do use AI big time in that wholesaling business. Like, the marketer, he's great with AI, so let's say somebody clicks on our website and they fill out their address, it automatically shoots them a text to the number they filled out saying, just asking a bunch of questions, and then they schedule a call with us, we get on a call, and then we go from there. And then that's really where I'm at right now. I'm trying to turn the business mainly, just like he said, through AI, through marketing, and just looking for more flips every day. That's really where I'm at right now with it. And my favorite areas to buy in, I like the suburbs, so Garden City, you know, Dearborn Heights, just because the days on the market, like Lou said, that's a huge thing. And then, like, anyone can go buy a deal that's 60,000, you put in 40, 100, then you sell it for 180, but how long is it gonna stay on the market? What's the risk? You know, certain areas in Detroit, like I purchased a property on the east side, like, if you don't have a house sitter in there, people will break in.
Where at?
Yeah. Leslie, 6325, it's a 6,000 block of Leslie Street.
That's not the east side. That's west side.
48238. 482, I bought houses on Grayton, wholesale, so like around those areas. And Yorkshire, you know where Yorkshire is at? It's on, yeah. So I mean, Yorkshire is a great area, but yeah, it's a great area, but there's certain pockets in there where it's not as good. So what I learned about the Detroit market, it's block to block. You know, one block right here could be great. You cross the street and it's a whole different game. So that's the thing, the market there is huge. So the suburbs is a little easier to work with, but Detroit is where you're gonna find a lot of deals to fix and flip. But that's really where I'm targeting right now. And then for my wholesaling business, I turned it into all of Metro Detroit and Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. So yeah, that's where I'm trying to go with this business, and you know, even get out of Michigan and just take it national. And then once my goal is to keep flipping, then kind of turn from the flipping business into the rental game. I'm looking in just commercial basically. I don't want to get into residential renting. I'm trying to get into commercial. So I know a couple guys in Florida, and they're calling me saying like every day, like, hey, we got deals. I spoke to my lender. He said, you know, we can go out to Florida, and if the numbers do make sense over there, I'm looking at Airbnb in Orlando. Purchase price around 800, and then the lending company I use, you guys were asking about the DSCR loan, it's Kiabi. I mean, 10%, and I don't have any credit age, no proof of funds shown, anything like that. So it's 10% there.
10% across the board.
So if the deal has a good amount of spread, Kiabi will automatically calculate all of it and say like, hey, if it's a good amount of spread, you can go with 10%. You know, if it's not too bad, 15. Then if it's just mid, it's 20%. So they go all the way across, and they fund to anybody, anyone, no credit, nothing. No hard credit checks either with them. And then that's really where I'm at. And then I ended up last year dropping out of college and just going full on in. And that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to leverage my business at the moment. Any questions, anyone? She asked, how do you skip trace? So I was saying there's apps like PropStream, PropWire. You basically put in like a bunch of data asking like only 3-bedroom homes, Redford, whatever area you want. You skip a list, pre-foreclosures, whatever. Motivated seller leads, you pull it, and then it will pull all the phone numbers, and you just call each home. if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's a 20%. 20% of the people are gonna answer. 5% of them are actually going to be the owner, and 1% is gonna want to sell. So it takes around 200 calls for one person to want to sell, but that one person could be a deal where you make $5,000 to $10,000. So that's a great way to go about it. Right now, I do have a cold caller, so somebody overseas in the Philippines just cold calling for me. I pull the list, I pay for it. They get on the phones all day because I don't have time to usually get on the phones as much anymore. And then advertising, running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and then we have a bunch of people that I'm just trying to help just take over my wholesaling business and just scale it for me. Yeah, that's where I'm at with the business. Anyone, any questions? She asked, how do you find off-market properties? So the best way for me was I would literally go on Zillow, search Detroit, Michigan, and all the homes in Detroit that are on the market. Let's say there's thousands. I would call each realtor and say like, hey, do you have any off-market homes at the moment? You know, I'm an investor on the area just looking to purchase. I buy anywhere, any price. It doesn't even have to be in Detroit. That's one way. Skip tracing is another way. Advertising, door knocking, driving for dollars is a great way. I have people right now that I pay and they go around blocks and just put mail into people's homes. So it's a lot of ways to get the deals. You just have to be really good at it, and you have to put in a lot. The more you put in, the more you're gonna get out in wholesaling. That's a big thing. A lot of people get into it and thinking they're gonna make one call, close the deal for $10,000, dump that. For me, it took me 4 months to close my first deal, and I was working 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. So like, it's not easy. That's what I'll tell anyone here who wants to get into wholesaling. It's a great business to get into, but you have to have hunger, time, and you have to be dedicated. Like, there were so many days where I woke up and I didn't even want to pick up the phone. I did not. Like, who wants to call for 8 hours a day? But I did it anyways. And that's how you could scale your business and turn it into flipping or rentals or whatever you prefer.
Thank you.
Thank you guys though.
All right, so you started your wholesaling in October of last year? And took 4 months to get your first deal? All right, after you got that first deal, so it been about February of this year?
Yeah.
All right, so how many deals do you estimate that you've done from February up to date, just wholesale deals?
I would say after the first one, the next month I did 5. The month after that, around 8. And then my biggest month, I closed a package of 11 homes and then a package of 7, so another 18. And then the month after that, I did 13. So I mean, roughly around 40, 50. I don't know exactly how much, but then I transitioned into flipping. So that's where it slowed down, but now we have the leads going through just through the advertising. So that's really how many deals I've closed.
All right, so your first month, I mean, once you got your first deal, it took 4 months to get your first deal, but the next month you got 7. Why do you think it scaled up so rapidly after you got that first deal?
I think it did that because all the leads I was building from the months before and all the connections I made and everything around that time was hitting. So I had leads from January, from February, all leading up into March. So right around March, I had a bunch of deals in the pipeline through January, February that were all built, and I closed everything in March. And then from March, it was taken into April, then April to May. So I was building these leads from months before, and they were all falling into these months. So when I get a deal, it usually takes me about, I put it under contract a week to close it up, another 2 weeks. Sometimes it can take up to months to close a deal. So 3 to 6 weeks per deal, to be honest. If you have a cash buyer like Lou, I mean, it'll close in 3 days. So it depends on the buyer you have. Some of my buyers are hard money, so it takes some weeks. So that's how I close my deals.
All right, you mentioned PropStream. Is there any other software that you like to use in your wholesaling business?
Batch leads, PropWire, and that's about it. Only batch leads and PropWire. For skip tracing, REI skip. If I'm driving past the home and I usually just write the address down and I pull up REI skip and it gives me the number right away. That's just to call 1 home, 2 homes. But to pull lists, it's PropStream, PropWire, and batch leads. Those 3 mainly. Like the rest, I don't really work with, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right, got to go back to what you said there. It took 4 months to get that first deal. Then the next month was 7, and just grew from there. So, and don't want to put words in your mouth, so feel free to disagree with me. But a large part of your success was mental, not giving up during that 4 months of frustration. Okay, all right. I really appreciate it, man. Congratulations on all your success. Alrighty, this part of our program, I stole this from Renegades Detroit, and Jeremy always calls this shameless self-promotion. So if anyone would like to come up here and make an announcement about their business, because be loud.
Hello everybody, I am Sharonda and I do teach hustle, but as far as real estate is concerned, I'm looking for 2 families in Detroit, like multi-unit, and my phone number is 586-209-0341.
Hold on. What is it again?
586-209-0341.
Anyone else? All right, my shameless self-promotion is I have a client who's looking for an apartment, small apartment, 10 to 12 units, anywhere in the metro area. So if anyone has anything, or if you know someone, a 10 to 12 unit, my name's Eddie Williams. You can reach me at 248-252-4114. Eddie Williams, 248-252-4114. I'm looking for a 10 to 12 unit in the metro area.
My name is Dana Hamlet, and I own VIP Bar. It's located in East Point on 8 Mile Road. Located at 15839 8 Mile Road in East Point. I've been there for 10 years. I also own a salon, To Inspire Salon, which is right next door. Yeah, so that's my shameless promotion. I've been, and I also have a couple of rental properties also, and another commercial building. And I'm trying to be like these guys here. You know, at some point, I want to acquire more properties. I kind of got into my properties when property values were low, and just looking at the values now over the last 10 years, tenfold. It increased tenfold. So I understand what they're doing, the buy and flip. But sometimes holding on can be good too. You know, I'm just saying, holding on can be good. Yes, ma'am.
I heard something about VIP something.
VIP. I own VIP Hall, which is on 8 Mile, 15839 8 Mile Road.
That's a banquet hall.
Banquet hall, yes. It's a small banquet hall. My capacity right now, I'm doing 80 or less. I'm doing 80 or less. Since COVID, I was over 100, but you know, I'm trying to scale down because we still know it's out there. So spread out the people, you know, spread them out a little more so it's not as congested.
So I'll be 50 in March. I'm working on doing something so I can sit back. But again, Calvin Calloway, peer-to-peer cleaning. Thanks for having me out, Eddie, and glad to see you all. Glad to meet some new people.
She said, what do you do?
I do interior and exterior cleaning. Oh.
So,
I got some cards. I'm gonna pass them out before I go. And just a little disclaimer for y'all. If you never heard of BHG Bank, BHG Bank gives loans. 600 credit score, 580 credit score. But the key to the BHG loan is it doesn't go on your credit report as long as you pay it every month. The moment you miss it, it shows up on your credit report. So it's like a free whatever over here, $20,000, $30,000, whatever you need, but it doesn't show up on your credit report. So BHG Bank.
What's the interest rate?
It varies. It varies on your credit, brother. But again, it's still worth it. Say you got a gap on something, and you just need the money for a little while. It's all relative, ain't it?
What's the amount of money that you have gotten, and what's the, is it a Detroit-based bank?
No, it's not Detroit-based, and that's another thing. That's a good question.
Talk at the mic.
It's a healthcare-based bank, but they give loans to anybody. Research it, and that's another thing. I got this information from the Radical Market on YouTube. So if you